All right, welcome to today's inaugural episode of Faith and Friction, man. I got the Rev with me, man. I'm Mack. All right. What do
Hey,
you say,
Mack,
brother?
it's good to see you, and I'm excited about the new adventure that's before us.
Absolutely. We've been thinking about this for several weeks. We've been putting some things together, lots of great conversations, stuff on our heart, stuff on our mind that we're really looking forward to having a conversation over.
I wish the microphone was on during these conversations because it's like, yes, that was exciting.
As we've been planning and just talking through it and everything. So here we are. Faith and friction. Now, we've outlined some things about this, and so I don't want to screw it up here as I intro. All right, so I'm going to read this so that I make sure I get all the points in. So here we go.
Drum roll, please.
Here it is. We're creating space to dive into one of the most fascinating and sometimes uncomfortable intersections. Oh, we're going to love that word, man. In human life, faith and culture. So get ready, Rev. Get ready. All right.
I'm breathing.
Strap
Set.
in.
Let's go.
We say this, strap in, right? So get ready, because this conversation is about more than religion or tradition, although we will talk about
You
those
bet.
things. It's about identity, belonging, and the choices we make when our beliefs and our world don't quite fit together. Imagine that, huh?
That happens most of life, actually.
So I'm really excited about this because we talked about this a lot. We got excited about it. We're going to go look for the friction. We're not going to bypass it. We're not going to try to sugarcoat it. We're not going to try to even make like it's not there. We want to talk about
Well,
it.
I have to tell you, Mac, I'm excited for the invitation because most of my life I have run from tension or friction or anything that resembled that. And I kind of am excited about, as you said, diving into it and welcoming it and understanding that there's growth there.
Correct.
There's learning there. Maybe there's more to life and more to me as a result of doing so.
I
So
can
I'm
guarantee that. That's true.
Facing a few fears to do this and making myself uncomfortable, but I think it's a good thing.
Well, it'll be a great interaction, I think, and we're going to uncover, like you said, we're going to uncover some things that we have we can on the surface say, oh, there's friction between this and this. And it's obvious. Mm-hmm. But there's also going to be the stuff that's not obvious and the stuff that we're going to mine. And I can't wait for I never thought about it. Gee, it's there and I never saw it that way. So that's what this conversation is going to be about. It's going to be really unearthing, I think, also the stuff that we've never even paid attention to, that we've never even thought about, never connected the dots. And that's going to be a lot of fun, as well as just calling some stuff out that we see out there. All right.
Well, and there
friction.
might be friction between us. We may not agree on everything,
Right.
And that's okay because there's juice there. And
Absolutely.
there's something good. So it's multi-leveled friction. It's what's going on in the world as friction, but what's going on in me? What am I working with, wrestling with, playing with in my
Love it,
life?
man. Yeah.
And
love it.
what are we as two brothers working with to maybe create something completely that neither one of us has thought about?
Well, and here's what I know, because I know you. And when we have any kind of friction, we're going to grow through it.
Yep.
We're going to look at each other and go, man, that was a little tough, but you know what? Whoa. Okay.
There's a song
Good stuff.
that Bob Simon does. It's about what you go through grows you. And so we're going to go through some stuff and welcome it, challenge ourselves, and grow through it.
Yes, it's going to be a great learning experience. And we're going to talk about these two things, faith and culture. Whoa, right. Faith intersects, first of all, with culture. You can't help it.
You can't get away from
No
it.
matter what culture we're talking about and what faith practice anybody has.
I'm feeling the earth moving already.
There's going to be some shaking going on. So faith and culture. And faith, here's what I like to do. This is a nuance, but that's okay. We're going to keep it in mind. There is a difference. It's subtle, but there's a difference between faith and belief.
Oh,
and
big time.
We tend to use them interchangeably, just in common language when we're talking about religion, when we're talking about God, we're talking about our faith traditions. I believe, versus the faith. Faith is about the unseen.
It's a comfortableness with the mystery.
Yes.
I don't have to
I like
grab
that.
my hands around it and control it and have it in a nice, neat box. It's
Right.
I'm going to go explore that which I maybe really don't know and maybe find some friction within myself, but I'm willing to do so So mystery is going to be
Mystery. I love that. That's
absolutely,
true.
you know, I want to be a modern day mystic and not be so entrenched in my belief system or what my thoughts are about any particular topic that I missed maybe some good that is there, but I'm blind because I'm so entrenched.
Well, you mentioned the belief. That's more concrete. Concrete is more, beliefs are more tangible.
Yeah.
I don't have to have faith say that the sun's going to rise tomorrow.
Yeah.
I don't need faith to do that. I can believe that it's going to happen because why? I've seen it happen.
Sure.
It's been reinforced in me, and I believe now that it will, or that it is, or fill in a blank. It's subtle, but it makes a difference, and we're going to call that out as we go along, because we want to press into the mystery.
Well, that's kind of having a scientific mindset, if you will. You know, in laboratories throughout history, beliefs have been anchored because it's been proven over and over and over again. But scientists don't stop there. And as a spiritual person, I want to be a scientist as well, to be open to a new theory that maybe disproves the last one.
Well,
I want to be open to that which I don't understand, but I have an inkling. Something within me is stirring that there might be a greater truth here. That's the faith. I have faith, so I'm going to experiment, which is what this is going to be, an experiment and ideas.
Well, then here's what it takes. We're going to go over this time and time again between us, and we're like this, open-minded. We are open-minded, so that's, I think, why this is going to be exciting, as well as for any guests. I truly believe that any guest we get on the show will be open-minded as they come on.
Open-minded, open-hearted, open-spirited, open-handed.
Yeah.
Because, you know, when you're dealing with tension and friction, it can become a fight pretty quickly. This isn't about fight.
No.
This is about exploration and scientific adventure and spiritual adventure.
Exactly. And you know what? I might look at that a little differently than you do. Those kinds of things will come up.
I hope so.
And they're healthy.
There are those that say, if you and I agree on everything, one of us is unnecessary.
That's right.
So
I just have a monologue here on a podcast. No. I know that's not the case for us. So faith and culture. And it's more than religion or tradition. And those are some sacred cows that I think we're going to go after in any faith practice, but also culturally. We can talk about politics that way. We can talk about how we look at culture and different cultures and even our own, that we have our own traditions. We have our own, this is the way we've always done it, and there you go.
Well, I think it's important out of the gate, our first episode is there's no intention to tear anything down.
Correct.
Or tear anybody's belief system down. It's just to invite people into a laboratory for exploration. So, you know, it might get tense, it might get upset, and there might be a fever pitch to it, but it's not an intention to fight or to combat or even to argue. It's let's play with ideas. Let's play in the playground of ideas and see what wants to emerge.
Yeah, that'll certainly be part of it. At the same time, I think that, I know where I come from a lot of times, to call out a difference, to say, well, now, do you realize that if this is your perspective, whatever it might be, and I respect your perspective, don't get me wrong, all right? But now understand that when you land your plane that way, here's some consequences or some ripple effect or cause and effect, not always bad by any means, but let's be honest with each other to say, well, you know, when we come from that paradigm, that's the worldview, then therefore these are some things
that happen
that happen because of that. Exactly. And so, you know, there might be a little, what it's going to appear to be finger pointing and judgment, but it's going to really be more about observation.
Well, and it's okay for me to say, I can't land my plane in that same field, but if you're landing there, okay, that's okay.
Right.
I'll meet you somewhere in the middle, perhaps.
Right. But when you land in that field, you might damage some corn. There might be.
Well, I'm the king of corn.
Corny.
Corny, cheesy.
So these are important nuances to understand where our conversation is going to go. And I mean, I'm excited about all the above that we've been talking about.
Well, I just love that we have a friendship enough, a relationship enough that we can dive in there, knowing that, okay, that'd be a little tense. We might butt heads a little bit, but there's something good that can happen there.
But it's fun stuff.
And I think that's what the world needs. The
Right.
world needs the ability to have conversation and dialogue that isn't always comfortable,
Yeah.
but is rich and beautiful
Exactly.
and honest.
Well, we're going to take, our plan is to take specific themes each week. We don't want to be all over the map. We definitely want to address
You're going to have to
specific-
reel me in if you don't want to be over the map.
Well, I remember we just got done doing a podcast, and we had 82 episodes, and it was a ton of fun.
I'm the king of bunny trails
And, well,
at times.
Bunny trails are okay at times, right? I have to herd the cat. Now, not cats this time, but herd the cat. All right. So we're going to take one specific thing, right? It might be faith and specifically the culture. What's the culture doing out there? What does this mean?
Yeah.
How does faith interact with culture, specifically in that episode?
Well, and it's going to involve feelings. This is what's happening on the planet. This is what's happening in the country. This is what's happening in my church. This is what's happening in me, and I have feelings about it. Exploring the feelings is a gateway and a portal to something, to a discovery.
Absolutely, yes. And
And I'm not going to shy away from
and
my
our guests-
emotions.
right, and our guests are going to bring their feelings.
Yeah.
We may take something from the paper, the news, the website, whatever's going on out there. We may not have a specific person to address it. At the same time, we can address it as we see what's happening out there. And I think I want to learn from that. I want to learn your perspective on that today. I saw it today in the news. What does that mean for us together right now?
And we may enter the conversation going, I don't know what it means for me, but maybe at the end of the episode, I will know what it means to me.
Maybe, or maybe you'll leave the episode going, I gotta chew on that a little bit.
Yep.
All right. And I hope we do that together. I think we owe that to each other as opposed to going, okay, I'm glad that's done. Well,
Got through that.
That was tough. Yeah, right. Whew, let's move on.
Well, my hope is that episode to episode, that if there's something left hanging, it's like we didn't quite get to the depth of the root of that. Let's talk about that next week. And then that time in between will give us a chance to dig deeper into our own soul
Right.
and to really understand it beyond mentally or emotionally is, okay, what is the Spirit wanting to do here with this particular topic in me?
Yes, and faith, again, as we continue to talk about this word faith and the mystery and the unknown, it's an intimate trust. Faith is a trust. And that's a very special word as we have conversation. That sort of undergirds a lot, because if we start with faith and friction, there's going to be a trust between us. There's
has to
also
be.
going to be a trust out there that we can trust the unknown. We can trust the divine. We're certainly going to bring that into the equation. We believe
Yeah.
that very definitely.
I couldn't be here doing this conversation and inviting these ideas in if I didn't have faith that this is a divine appointment.
Exactly.
That for some reason, this conversation wants to happen at this time in my life. And so I'm going to lean into it knowing that I've been guided to this moment, to this relationship, to this microphone for some holy purpose, even when I get uncomfortable.
Well, I don't want to separate it either. If we're going to talk about any of these topics and we start with faith,
Yep.
it has to grid through a spiritual grid. Now, that doesn't mean one particular one, or I mean, we have a lot of commonalities.
Sure.
But as a unity minister, you'll bring those perspectives into the equation, and many of them I'm thumbs up on because of our relationship and
Sure.
our philosophies. At the same time, some of those, even you will say, well, I don't know about that in
Don't
particular.
tell my congregation. I actually question my own theology at times.
Well, I think everybody ought to question their own theology
That's a
at
rich
times.
faith. That's an important aspect.
So, that's part of it. There's something greater. There's something greater, and we want to press into that all the time, because we were talking about this earlier. If I'm going to look at the world through what I can understand, my paradigm, my bias, my worldview, then it's finite by my ability. And the last thing that I want for my life,
Yeah.
for it to be bound by my ability to be able to understand not only what I can touch and feel, but also what I can't touch and feel.
Well, what I love about the term bias, there's two different types of biases. There's conscious bias. I'm aware I lean in this direction.
Yeah.
But then there's unconscious bias, that there's a belief system that's beneath the surface I don't even know is there. I hope the conversation between us exposes that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that existed in me. I got to sit with that for a
It's going to
minute.
be a little painful, man. Thanks. Thanks a lot.
Birthing pains, as they say.
Yeah, but it's going to be fun. But we're talking about collision a lot of times. Friction is one thing, and there might be a little bit of a rub between faith in this or faith in that, and that's fine too. We'll expose that.
Beautiful things come from that. Some of my most favorite places on the planet came from friction and things rubbing against Yosemite Valley in California. Let me tell you, the glaciers rubbed against the stone, and it created this majestic beauty. And I go visit it. So I'm leaning into friction. I want to do that. Maybe something more beautiful is going to happen than even what we plan on a piece of paper.
Well, I think science has shown us that when particles collide, something magical happens there as well.
Life.
So I think there's degrees. I guess what I'm saying is there's degrees of this friction.
Yes.
There's degrees of soft friction or hard friction or collision or just sliding by each other, or positive friction that says, well, a car couldn't move. The wheels have to have friction against the road. That's not a collision. That's normal. That helps the scenario. We need those positive frictions.
Yeah. Well, and it requires an examination of the intention behind the friction.
Oh, there you go.
If
That's
love
good.
is driving the bus, we're good.
Correct.
If a need to be right is driving the bus, that's not so good. The collision can be a good thing. The friction can be good if the intention is pure. And our intention behind these microphones is for growth and for exploration and for learning and for challenge and for thinking.
Right.
So it's never to be unkind. Never
Correct.
to be not understanding. I want to seek to understand before I espouse an idea that might be different.
Right. Well, and you'll have to, you know me, you know my personality, you know what we've been through. And sometimes, and so I know you'll love me through it, but you're going to call me out on it as well, which is great because I get a little, I get a little
You're an impassioned guy.
I get a little sandpapery in the friction. Okay, so it does come with passion.
We'll have a code word that I use for my own inner friction. Let's all take a breath here for a minute.
That's probably a good idea. All right.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. But just understand that you know me already about that. But
I know you already, and I'm still sitting here. This is a good
what
thing.
What the heck happened? You said yes. Okay, it's all good. So, we have faith-based experiences. Every single one of us has a faith-based experience, even if you're not churched. But typically, most people, not all, but most people will have some sort of faith-based experience, even as a child. Maybe
You can take God out of the equation. We have faith that something's going to happen.
Right.
That things are going to happen a certain way because we have an experience of it.
Right.
As you mentioned, the sun coming up, the sun going down.
Right.
We
That's a
have
belief.
experiences in life that I have faith that that's going to happen tomorrow. I have faith in people that have proven over time they're going to show up in a certain way.
Right.
I consider because I have a faith that your intention in your heart is good. And
a
the same
belief
for me.
almost, really. You have a belief that I will. We're kind of talking about the mystery being faith.
Yeah, but we're stepping into the unknown here, so I have to put a little bit of faith that you're not going to get too sandpapery with me, and that maybe I won't get too sandpapery with you.
It's an unknown, isn't it? Okay, then I'll go with it being faith.
And that guest,
right?
we're going to invite guests. I have faith that the guests that we invite behind these microphones
Right.
are going to have that same kind of intention.
I think so. And if they don't, for whatever reason, because we're not going to intimately know people that are going to come on. I mean, we're going to, I'm going to call it vet. We're going to interview them ahead of time to make sure.
I've already made a list of people that really think differently than I do, religiously, politically, and otherwise, emotionally. And I want them on the podcast, but I do have a faith that they're coming from a good place, even if we don't agree.
And that, you're right, that's a faith. And we also have to be flexible enough that if in some ways, that the faith doesn't get validated. I mean, there's no assurance that that's going to be the case. And that'll be okay too, upon occasion, if we need to navigate those waters. so be it.
Well, and
right?
every road on this podcast will be, how does it apply to me? There are things I've had faith in myself where I let myself down.
Right.
The faith did not come through.
Yeah. So we don't want to, these aren't abstract tensions. These aren't just out there somewhere where we can't relate to them at all. They're grounded in what you were just saying. They're grounded in experience. They're grounded in what we've seen and heard. They're grounded in what we're going to be able to learn from people that we don't have a clue.
Yeah.
And that's all good. I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, I want it to come down to earth.
Yeah.
I believe in a rubber meets the road spirituality.
Uh-oh.
Esoteric thoughts out here in the middle of...
There's friction.
There's friction. Bring it down to earth.
Rubber
Bring
meeting the road.
Yeah. That's where I want to live. Applicable spirituality, applicable religion that can be applied in politics.
Right. And practicality.
Politics that can be applied in everyday living. The understanding of how every decision I make, every word I speak, every conversation I have is affecting the reality that's on earth right now.
Correct.
And an internal
It sets an
reality,
energy.
yes. But it's all of the above. And I have a basic
Right.
belief system that we're all connected. So if it's affecting me and I'm allowing that to happen within me, it's going to be happening at the macrocosm.
Completely. And we're talking about two of the most delicate things that we've said for years, and I'm going to push back at it. We don't want to talk about what? Religion and politics.
That's the best way to clear the Burdick household is bring up one of those subjects and everybody's out of the room in 15 seconds flat.
See, that's our problem. That's part of our cultural problem. There's friction there. And yet, if we don't learn to grow through it, not just for the person that doesn't really want to talk about it, but think in the past. Think of even way back when Plato or Aristotle or C.S. Lewis and J.R. Tolkien, they would meet together and they would sit. And those guys had a lot of commonality, of course. But at the same time, that's what it was all about, to have conversation and not be afraid to say, hey, what are you thinking about what's going on here or here or here?
I think the human race has kind of lost the art of conversation with tension, with friction.
Right.
And thus learning has stopped. So have we all lost the ability to sit down and have meaningful conversations without there having to be complete and total agreement? I believe I want to get that back. Because
I need to get some of it back, okay? You know that. All right. But I'm a work in progress. And
I'm sitting there because you do have that gift.
I can, yeah. Sometimes I get a little off the rails, but that's part of my passion, and sometimes I get a little tunnel vision. But
I hope this podcast is answering the need that isn't just the need for us to sit down and have meaningful conversations. It's the world, the human race.
I think that's great.
We're so afraid of each other that we just avoid it at all costs.
Right.
And then intimacy gets lost.
Let's put an energy out there that will make a difference, one person at a time. And the encouragement that I know you have as you talk to your congregation every week, or as I have conversations with other people, just one more, raising their level of consciousness. And that doesn't mean they're agreeing with me.
Yeah.
It just means that they're taking their consciousness to a higher level, to ponder things, to look at things in an open-minded way.
A greater intention. The best conversation I've had this week, I sat down, I'm doing a presentation with a Baptist minister this coming Thursday at an interfaith event.
Right,
I said, why did they partner me with a Baptist minister? It's a young guy, he's black, and he's a Baptist. And I tell you, I didn't want to leave the conversation because it was rich. And we agreed, that's a little different perspective than I have. And we're doing a presentation together. And we found words, we found ideas, we found theology that we agreed upon. And we shared things back and forth that's going to make that presentation Thursday night way more meaningful. But I left going, man, this guy is a pretty amazing human being.
You just brought up a perspective. I like this. We didn't talk about it this way. I like it. Here's friction. There's probably friction there somewhere.
We talked about it.
Okay.
I said, here's something that the unity people believe.
Yeah.
And I said, we've been called a cult by the Baptists throughout history. and he said, yeah, I can understand how you would be called a cult. And we laughed about it.
Well, see, now here's what happened, and here's what I love. We're going to look for the friction. We've already talked about that. It's always there somewhere. Guaranteed. We're not going to have to make anything up.
No.
We might have to peel the onion back a little bit.
We have to be willing.
But at the same time, now we're calling it, we're exposing it. And hopefully through the conversation, through the open-mindedness, through the aha moments, we're going to say, well, that friction when we started was a collision.
Yeah.
Now, after a conversation, you know what? Maybe it's still a little bit of a sandpaper rub, but at least we're not colliding.
Well, and here's what I love about that conversation
That's
with
neat.
this Baptist minister.
I love that.
He's the one that set the intention. I brought in the fears. Oh my gosh, I've got to stand back and not share too much. He made the foray into, tell me what you believe. Tell me about your religion. I had to confront my own judgments based on past experiences on what a Baptist is and what a Baptist isn't. I had to be willing to suspend those judgments and go, wow, I'm meeting a fellow human being who's completely different than I had judged him beforehand.
Shall we call that false friction? How about that? There's false friction there.
But you don't find false friction unless you're willing to lean into the possibility that it is very
and
real.
have a conversation, right? But there we go. The stories we tell ourselves. We talk about that all the time, don't we? That it's false. It's a false friction that we perceive. But how do we mitigate that? How do we change our bias about that? You had a bias about what you expected from him.
I had to be willing to confront my bias.
Yeah, there you go.
And he didn't have to call out. There was none of that going on. It was me recognizing my own bias in this conversation.
Right. And you know what I'd like to do? I don't know how you ended it, but I'll do this with you. I know you'll do it with me, to say, thanks, man. You know, I feel a little bit, I'm a little bloodied. I'm a little bit sandpapered. I'm a little bit rubbed raw. Or it doesn't have to always be that way. Oh my gosh, you just affirmed. You know, that gives me, not only a good feeling, but we all want to be validated that our thinking, that our processing is valid. It's not willy-nilly, and it's not out there somewhere.
Yeah, I left that conversation not bloodied, but more hopeful.
Right. Oh, exactly. I love that, man. Great story.
More hopeful than when I walked into the conversation.
Well, I think this whole podcast is going to be a complete aha moment, just from start to finish, that we're going to be able to build upon over and over and over. We're going to talk about stuff like faith versus belief. We already hit on that right now. How about religion and culture? That's an easy one. We've already kind of hit on that. Spirituality and religion in politics. We got to go there. Look what's going on around us right now. I mean, we need to have that conversation and flesh it out and just deal with it, but from a perspective, that maybe or maybe not be agreeable or common. Let's put it that way, or maybe to one side or the other.
It does require something. It requires an intention out of the gate. I'm not coming into an arena with an enemy across the table from me. I'm coming into the arena with the possibility of greater hope, of greater understanding, of a more peaceful, loving world. That's the intention of this podcast. We may feel bloodied. We may go, oh man, and you're totally wrong. But I remember a moment when I went into a group, an accountability group, and these guys called me out on some BS I was playing, and I left that meeting, slammed the door. I was ticked off, only to get in my car 5 minutes down the road going, man, they were right.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, there's a greater possibility here. It's,
But you were willing to be open-minded at that point.
There has to be willingness. I'm not going to invite anybody at the end of this microphone who's just here to have a fight.
Right.
I don't want to fight. That doesn't serve anything.
No. So how about this? Faith and social justice. Faith and social justice, the social gospel that was been around for almost 100 years, right? How does faith conflict with some of that stuff? Did we put it in there, and it was of the time, but now we got to get over that. Whatever it might be, all right?
Not to tear it down, but to build upon it.
Well, exactly,
with a new
and to
understanding.
Appreciate stuff. Maybe it is time to say there was friction. There probably still would be friction if we addressed that the same way.
Yeah, exactly.
But now, no. We need to evolve from that place.
Hopefully we're all a little bit more awake. The same problem now gets dealt with a little bit differently as a result of our growth and our learning.
So we got a ton of stuff. We've got ideas that we're excited about talking together about. And let's just stay right here and let's do it again.
My
that
knees
kind of
are
thing.
not knocking anymore. They were when we started.
So thanks for your willingness. Thanks for sticking in here. Thanks for saying, let's just unleash this thing, man, and let's have some fun with it.
Same to you, but more of it.
Amen. And we'll wrap that up, and let's come back next week and talk about more of the friction conversations, places we're going to go.
Let's get specific.
That's right. We're
Drill
going to
it
have,
down.
yeah, exactly. We're going to have themes each week, and it'll be great. So thanks a bunch, and we'll do it again next week.
I appreciate you, Mac.
Take care.